Yeah, today we are going to be talking about the Qs app, what we know, and what's still missing. Have a little look at the agenda of what we're going to walk through today. First of all, we're going to explain what Qs app is. So if you've not come across it before, we'll give you a little bit of an understanding about what that is, who it's for, who it's aimed at. We'll talk a little bit about the licensing as well. So what kind of licensing you're going to need from a Microsoft perspective to be able to use the Qs app. We'll talk about some capabilities and use cases, so what the Qs app can actually do. We're also going to spend a little bit of time talking around the standard call queue enhancements that have come to Teams Phone as well. You'll understand why that kind of connects and makes sense. We'll talk around some customer scenarios, and then lastly, we'll end it with what I think is still missing from the Qs app. Missing, may never come, I don't know, just things that I would like to see in this type of app. Throughout the time as well, I've got some demos, so we'll actually, hopefully, look at the Qs app within the Teams client. So I'll actually show you that and you can see what it looks like from an end user perspective. Well, first of all, a little bit about me. My name's Bennet. I'm a Microsoft Teams MVP and Principal Architect at LoopUp, an Operator Connect provider. You can find me delivering content around Teams Phone. It's funny that says weekly because, it's definitely not weekly, but probably should be a little bit more weekly. Find me on Empowering Cloud Briefings if you come across that, talking around Teams Phone related topics. I also host a podcast with Ben Lee, another MVP, called 365 Explained, where we'll effectively choose a topic from the 365 ecosystem and we'll explain that. It's usually me asking silly questions and Ben Lee actually knowing the answers and giving the answers on the podcast. But it's quite a nice little tool if you come across something you've heard a million times. What's Copilot Notebooks? Go and have a listen and we'll explain that for you. If you want to find me though, we've got YouTube where I've got some Teams Phone content. Mainly it's going to be on LinkedIn, doing articles, that sort of thing. Okay, let's jump straight into it then. So what is the Qs app? So the Qs app it's a newer experience on Microsoft Teams. It's been out a year and a half now that it's actually been out, and then some newer features have actually come along to it. But effectively, the way to think about it is on the back end, it's still Teams call queues. Okay, so that functionality that you get in with call queues is effectively what's breathing into Qs app. But what the Qs app is another interface for you to be able to manage these call queues via the queue management, get some reporting, get some contact center light features, which is a saying that I hate, but I'll end up saying it loads during this talk. But it's effectively something that will be inside the Teams client, built by Microsoft, native built by Microsoft. And it's going to unlock some extra functionalities that you may not have and may need within Teams Phone. So who is the Qs app actually for? So it's if an easy win for you as an organization, for a customer or someone you're having a chat with around the Qs app, if you fall into these categories, so you're a customer that already has native Teams Phone, you already like those features, you're already utilizing those features, and you're happy with them, and you have access to the Teams Premium license, or you already bought the Teams Premium license, that's a super easy win for you to at least start looking at the Qs app to see if it's something that will fit your needs. But if you are using native Teams Phone, you're using those auto attendants and call queues to already build out your call flows, and you're kind of happy with the features that come along with that, the routing capabilities, the time of day routing that you get from auto attendants, that sort of thing, then the Qs app is a good place for you to at least start looking. But also, if you're not looking for massively deep third-party integrations, so you just want something to be able to manage call flows or have a little bit extra out of your call queues, then it's a good place to start. If you've already bought Teams Premium, then this is already in your license. So Microsoft recently decoupled some things out of the Teams Premium license. QSAP was not one of those things. So it still lives as a license within Teams Premium. So anybody, we'll go into a license in a little bit, but anybody that you want to give these features to, they're going to have the Teams Premium license assigned to them as well. So let's talk a little bit about those licensing implications. So if you want to have QSAP, this is any user that wants to see the interface that we'll come on to, and I'll show you. And anybody that you want to have this interface, so you want to have them have access to this, they're going to need access to Teams first and foremost. So they're going to need a Teams license. They're going to need a Teams Phone standard add-on license as well. And they're also going to need access to the Teams Premium license. So the way you're going to get access to that Teams Phone standard license is if you're an E5 customer, comes bundled inside of that SKU, or you're going to need to purchase an add-on license on there as well. And you're going to need access to the Teams Premium license. So this is anybody that's going to go into the Teams app and see the QSAP. Anybody that you want to have kind of management of those auto attendants and call queues, they're going to need that license assigned to them as well. Joy?
Members of a queue don't require.
Correct, yeah. So we'll come on to that a little bit, but let's take the example of you have your leads. So your leads are the people that are looking after the queues. It's a good way for, and when you come on and we'll look at the interface, you're gonna understand that it fits those people the most right now, but that might change. So the experience itself, we have Teams desktop app. So available on Mac, Windows, virtualized desktop environments. There's also now a roadmap item for a mobile device version as well. So if you've got Teams mobile device on your phone, then you'll be able to see that. It's available in public cloud and GCC environments. So if you're a customer or an organization that has GCC High, QSAP is not yet available to you. It's only public cloud and GCC. This is the QSAP on mobile. So rollout started in May 2026. But it's great if you've got a mobile workforce, you're going to be able to have the QSAP directly on your mobile phone within the Teams app itself as well. There's also for Teams phone devices as well. So, touchscreens like the Poly devices that have touchscreen capabilities. There's a QSAP that you can get to on that as well. Let's take a little look at the interface itself. Let's hopefully show that one. Hopefully the internet's okay. This is the QSAP, okay? So down your left-hand side, we're in a standard Teams client. Sorry, it's dark theme, not light theme. But inside of here, down the left-hand side, you see your calls, your chats, the things you would expect. Now we have a queues app pinned on the left. So this is admin configurable. You can pin that purposely to people's sidebars, or you can allow them to go find it themselves and pin it if they want. My recommendation would be, for the people using it, just pin it on the side next to the calls app, something like that. But inside of here, quick interface overview. On the right-hand side, at the top here, we have queues, and then you can see we have callback, CLI, free phone test, and a test call queue. These are the different queues that I am able to, that I am in for the queues app, okay? So these are just standard Teams call queues built on the back end. And if I went into Teams Admin Center, you'd see these three named. And I'm an agent within one of those particular queues, okay? Down here, we have me. So, sorry.
It's a commentator.
The reporting? Yeah. So on the reporting side, so we'll come back to talking through that. But on the reporting, so this is reporting for this particular queue that you can see. So within the call queues, there is a service level threshold you can now set. So this is specifically for this queue. If I click into another queue, there's no data because there's no calls inside of there. So this is specifically for this queue. There is an analytics button on the right-hand side, and we'll take a deeper dive into some of those reporting in a little bit, but there are some agent level that you can see. But I'll say right now, this data you can see inside of here, if you're familiar with the auto attendant and call queue reports that you could get in Power BI, very, very similar. You know, it's basically those reports pulled into the Teams app itself.
Yeah. Real time?
They are, so these calls waiting, for example, they are real time. So if there's calls in the queue, this was something that when this came up, I asked quite a lot during the tap and the validations that we had. Microsoft are doing really well at actually keeping them quite real time, 2 seconds or so, they're actually showing up as waiting calls inside of here. Yes. They've now, they're no longer using that term, thankfully, when they're talking about the queues app, because, on early versions of this, we were waiting 30 seconds. I know, guys, that's not real time. You can't have this up as a wallboard and it take 30 seconds to show that call's waiting.
On the
Yeah.
you'll tell you yeah.
Yes. So this was when it was last updated. Correct. Yeah. So this reporting in here, we'll take a deeper dive into that. Just wanted to show some of the interface stuff today within this section. So you can opt yourself out of a queue very, very simply. So inside of here, I am set as a lead of this queue, supervisor lead. Microsoft have flipped and changed it. But within Queues app, you have agents and you have leads, okay? Leads are the people that are going to manage your queue. They're the ones that are effectively your supervisors, right? So inside of here, I can opt myself out of a queue. I can see other people that are in the queue, and I can come in and I can opt them out. So I can opt Jeff out of the queue if I need to, or opt him back in. I can see a section for shared calls. So this is going to show, this is a newer feature for the Queues app, but you're going to be able to see shared missed calls for a particular queue, okay? And as well as that, we're going to see shared missed voicemails as well for that particular queue. And you can see in some of here, we've got this one here that says in progress or unresolved. I can come inside of here and choose to resolve this, and it will go across everybody else's in the queue, basically to say, I'd taken care of this particular call.
Oh, it's not.
Not long at all. Yeah, so that's one of the newer features for the Queues app. The voicemail stuff they announced at M365 like a couple of weeks ago. And the shared calling stuff was probably a month or so before that. Yeah, so it's very, very new. Excellent. We will jump back in to look at the demo. So hopefully I'll show you everything that we need to. But yeah, we'll jump back in and out of that. Another section inside of here as well, which I think, in all honesty, this has been a big way that I've been able to get customers to start using the Queues app, and that's this queue management section, okay? So you're able to come inside of here and, some of those interface things that I spoke about where be able to see your people, your calls, settings all inside of here. So if you are a lead of a particular queue, you're going to be able to, especially better than you have previously, get a full view of that Teams call queue and be able to manage it. Here's that shared call history and voicemail that I mentioned before. So shared calling, that was, the shared call history was January. So that's live now. You can see that. This was something that was missing for quite a while. But now you're able to kind of see that between agents. And this is one of those features where, I mentioned previously around licensing your leads, but you're going to want your agents to know missed calls. So this is really the first feature that's come out to the Qs app that's saying everybody gets premium, all your agents get premium, so they can see this missed call history. Because without this, they're not going to get access to the Qs app. And it's a lead that's going to have to go in and go, this has not been resolved. I have to assign it to someone. What does that assigning it look like? Whereas what you could do is have more of a team that's self-managed, give everybody the team's premium license, give them access to the Qs app, and then they can see unresolved and resolved voicemails and missed calls inside of here. So for the voicemail feature, as a late May rollout, so we should expect to see that very, very soon. And like we had inside of here, you can mark things as unresolved, in progress, and resolved. With that voicemail feature as well, they have said that you're going to be able to listen to the voicemails and see transcript from those voicemails as well. So that's quite nice. Instead of just seeing there's a missed voicemail from this call, you're going to be able to listen to that and get some more feedback. Use that itself. Yeah. So where we saw that shared call history, there'll be one look the exact same, but it'll be for a voicemail. Be able to listen to it in there. So this is actually management of those queues. One thing that I've found which has helped initially discuss the Qs app and get it in front of people is there's the notion in the Teams Admin Center of voice application policies. And what this is effectively you create a voice applications policy and give it particular settings. So inside of here, you can allow particular users to be able to change voice greetings for auto attendance and call queues, music on hold, that sort of thing. But this is the non-premium section. So if you don't have access to the Teams premium license, then these are the things you can change with the voice applications policy. On the right-hand side, ignore that says preview. It's an older screenshot. It's not preview anymore. This is all out. These are the premium features, okay? So all of these types of features are accessible through the Qs app, okay? But you can see some of the features inside of there, changing membership, changing routing methods. Some of those things are key, and they've actually been missing quite a lot from, standard native call queues. If I wanted to change a membership of a queue, I would have had to raise a ticket with IT. Someone with Teams admin access would have to go into the Teams admin center and add someone into a queue. People have built things based on channel membership and other things. I've done that myself for customers. But this is native built into Teams phone itself. So you can kind of give that power back to the users where they're able to come inside of here and truly manage their queue. So we'll jump in and I'll show you this actual section. But you're able to make these changes, importantly, directly from the Teams client. So no longer do you need to kind of, put a queue in with IT support, wait for however long that takes to come back for someone to be added to the queue. You can just make those changes yourself. Question?
Can we do hours of holiday hours? Yeah, all our holidays. Well, one.
Yeah.
Up.
So what you're asking is there a way to change the holiday hours? So this is for a specific queue. So are you saying you want multiple people to not be able to change that out of holiday, Brian?
What is it? What David? Not the others that. But there we.
Yeah, I don't think it's that granular. It's if you are a lead and you have access to that queue and you can make that change, you can make that change. There's no lock of the American holidays, so no one can touch that one. But the Christmas holidays, someone can go in and change. It's kind of it's not that granular.
Well, still like that. If I got it. Our holiday. then the
So you're saying put yourself out of office.
could it be the account?
Sure. If you had like presence-based ruin, you could configure something where if you were out of office and you were never going to get that call, then you can have that.
Sure. Okay.
No. So that's one of the things that's missing. So what that question was about was membership within call queues. You can add particular users, you can add groups of users, or Microsoft Teams channels. Anyone that's in that channel is part of that queue. One of the newer things that Microsoft announced was shifts. So people that are in that shifts can now be in the queue. As far as I'm aware, you cannot change that. But let's jump in, have a look, and see if I can actually change what shift is assigned to that queue. So I'm back in the queues app, and I'm logged in as Alan, who is a lead for this particular queue. And on this main page underneath the reporting, there is a settings section. What you can see is that's just actually opened the settings part of the Teams app itself. And then at the top here, instead of being on your personal call settings, we're now on the call settings for this particular call queue that we were just looking at. Okay. Manage call answering. So let's go inside of here and manage. So I actually can manage that shifts. Okay. So what I can come inside of here, I can remove Alan from a queue. I can remove Jeff and Steve, or I can choose to add another person to that queue. Okay. So that's the sort of membership changes that you have. If you have chosen your call queue to have a Teams channel, there is, as the membership queue, there's a slightly different button that you get on the other screen to be able to change what channel is considered for the membership.
With the channel membership,
Yeah.
Is there and then not require plan
Require your global admin to change.
that inside of
Yeah.
or each pool.
Yeah.
You have to be global admin.
So I'm assuming that has something to do with the change around.
We adding that.
Yeah, I've not actually come across that. That's something that's new to me.
Yeah, because you've never been.
Yeah. So even if you're a Teams admin, you have to be a global admin for that.
Let's take admin. Oh, yeah, tonight.
Very interesting. Yeah, maybe come up with me. We'll have a chat about that because I haven't come across that. Yeah.
So for the individual user assignment that you have, you're doing it by group kind of thing without dib. You have security access to privileges assigned.
No.
So it just
Yeah. So you can add people to that security group from the Queues app or anything like that. So this is probably a better scenario if you do have individual agents within your queues and you want to come in and add people in and out of that rather than the group policy way to assign agents. So we are just looking at some of the queue management things that we have inside of here. So that call handling and routing, you could decide if people can opt in and out of those queues. So if you want to force people to be in the queue, you can do that from a lead perspective. Change routing methods. So these are all the standard routing methods you would expect. Do things like turn presence-based routing on or off for a particular queue. Change some of those greetings. So these are some of the non-premium features, but they're within your Teams client. Adding the greetings, changing things like the exception handling. So choosing, where those calls actually go after, a particular number of users waiting has been reached or something like that. And you can do that directly in it. If you've ever built a call queue, you're going to notice or recognize some of these options because they're the exact same things that you're going to be able to get directly from the Teams Admin Center. Excellent. So that's the management. Let's jump back to the slide. One feature that was announced when the Qs app was announced, but it didn't come right away, was the monitor, whisper, barge, and takeover feature. This is one of the features that, especially for my customers, drove them to go to those bigger full contact centers, because even if you need it in a smaller scenario, teams just didn't have the capability, they didn't have the technology to be able to do this, as is. So if you're not aware, monitor, whisper, barge, takeover, effectively what you're able to do is monitor a particular agent. So you can come inside of here. This is your entry point to be able to get to whisper, barge, and takeover. You have to start monitoring a particular agent, okay? Once you have selected an agent and you're monitoring them, the agent can choose to get notified that they're now being monitored, for particular calls. Importantly, you can only monitor one agent at a time. So that potentially, depending on what your scenario is, might be a roadblock for you if you want to monitor all your agents at once and see all those calls. But right now, you have to choose someone, monitor them, unmonitor them, and monitor someone else. Importantly as well, right now, leads cannot monitor other leads, okay? So if you want to whisper, barge, take over other leads calls, you can't do that. So you need to really think about who's a lead within your particular queue if you are using this feature. Then we have whisper. The agent can hear you, but the person on the other side doesn't know that you're there, doesn't know that you're in the call. You can return back to monitoring from here, or you can escalate that call further to barge and then take over. We have barge. Both the agent and the caller are going to be able to hear you speak and know that you're in that call, okay? Again, you can return back to whisper and monitor if you want, or just leave the call. But as you can see, we're stepping through each individual one. So it's not something like, I'm going to monitor a user and then get a notification from them saying, I need you to barge into this call and help me out. You're going to have to monitor. The call comes up, whisper, then barge, and then you're in that call. So there's that sort of framework just to think about how you're actually getting into these calls that are being monitored. And then lastly, takeover. Kick the agent out the call. It's you and the other person. Importantly, the agent in the call retains the call history, not you as that user. And then if you do take over a call, it will automatically end your monitoring session on that user. Okay, so after that call, if you want to start monitoring them again, you have to go in and monitor. That's monitor, whisper, take, barge, and take over. Yeah, question? So you choose what level you want to go to. So think of it as like a tiered system. So if you ever want to take over calls, you have to choose takeover. You can't choose whisper and then choose to move up into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah, and you step through. So you would start by monitoring, then go to whisper, then go to barge, then go to takeover. So you would, as we went through the screenshots, you would go through each of those. Okay. You don't just go directly to takeover. Yeah, another question?
Yeah. If you're a you end up taking all of it for it, is that porting that file and freedom?
Great question. From what I understand of the compliance call recording, the bot is still in the call. So that call is still being recorded. And with the history all being retained to the agent, it would still all be assigned to that particular agent that was in the queue. So I think the call would carry on recording. And it wouldn't stop.
Okay. On your all the time, so you said all the call
History, yeah.
history. So it is, I barge it, I touch the call, they take that call over, talk to net such and go, that was 15 minutes, and I pull
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just because you barged in and you kick the other person out, it's still their call. It's still their immutable ID for that call or whatever. You don't like take it over and then split into two calls or anything like that. Yeah.
In that scenario where that
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
unless literally was like you call the one.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. They become an agent back in the queue, so they could still start taking calls and making calls as if they would. Their presence would go back to available if you kick them out or do anything like that. So if they get effectively, you're in two calls at once, overlapping 15 minutes, something like that. If you want to see this in action, see a demo, head over to Empowering Cloud. We did a demo of this with Emily from Microsoft. So go over there and have a watch of it in person if you want to see a demo of that. Let's talk about the reporting. Okay. Yeah. So I will start off by saying this has always been a contention point with teams for me. The reporting's never been the best reporting out there, or it was a real skill to be able to go to multiple places, drag that reporting in and actually get something usable out of Teams Phone. There is some great partners out there, Code, Kixie do some reporting as well. There's third-party vendors that have made a business out of just kept reporting outside of Teams and showing it correctly. So this is, although it's not great, it's a great way to come from what we have with native Teams call reporting. Okay. On this screen, we have some of those. These are more, for this particular queue, high level things for you to look at. These are more that maybe something that a lead would look at, throughout the day to understand how that queue is actually performing. But on the right-hand side, we have an analytics section. And down here, we have some auto attendants, call queues, and agents. And we have real-time reporting and historical reporting within inside of here. Let's take a look at real-time reporting first. Look at the call queue. That's the same thing we had in the overview. So it's the same reporting that you see inside of here. Couple of things to mention on reporting. So historical reporting, first of all. Used to be, we had 27 days. So we didn't even have a month of historical reporting. That's pretty poor, especially when for some customers, at least a month is what you're going to be expecting. You will be ecstatic and super happy to know we now have 45 days. Okay. So the historical reporting within the Qs app will go back 45 days. All right. That's live now. So you should expect to see that within all of your tenants. But here's some of the historical reporting. So down the left-hand side, auto attendance call queues. And you can see some of the historical reporting inside of here. Abandoned calls over the day, call volumes for opt-in agents. So again, if you've used those Power BI reports, the auto attendant and call queue Power BI templates that Microsoft have, it's effectively those reports that are being pumped directly into your Teams client. And for some customers, this is enough. They just want to know how a queue's performing. They want to know how many calls are being handled, where are they going? We'll come on to some of the things that I think are missing from this reporting. But you're going to be able to see that inside of here, make exports, which will give you the CSV formats, that sort of thing. One thing I wanted to mention on the reporting, historical reporting is set to UTC, no matter where you are in the world. Okay. Your real-time reporting is set to your local time of midnight that morning. So if you are looking at real-time reporting against historical reporting, for that day or whatever, you may have a little, depending on where you are in the world, a little mismatch. One might look a little out of sync than the other. Yep.
Sir, any plans? Well,
yeah. No plans that I know of. All I can say is, as MVPs, we have fed this information back to Microsoft. Whether they decide to do anything with it is a completely different story. But we're saying the same thing. Is that something that you found?
Will you have any that's open longer hours running back then? Not even much that Oracle matches real time. That will never.
Yeah.
Sure. But the fact that the game does it.
Yeah.
Like how long or minutes for my application more than that you're on that might not help. But you can't on game.
Yeah. It's almost the previous 24 hours rather than a day. Yeah. You mentioned agent reporting before, Martina. Here's some of the real-time agent reporting that you can see. So calls answered, calls presented, average call resolution. Then we have the historical view of that as well. So that's the sort of reporting that you're going to see from a per agent level.
Very different between our RBI template they offer for the off
Any differences in
like just data that they're offering.
No. So it's pulling from the exact same place. Yeah, it's pulling from CQD. It's pulling from the Teams Admin Center. They changed it recently. I'd say recently, a year or so ago now. It's like the voice applications something framework, or there's some VAS I think it's called, but it's effectively all pulling from the same place. Excellent. Here's some of that real time that I mentioned before, the service level thresholds. You can see some very basic information. I'll click through these because it's things we've just gone through in the demo. Use app on devices. So I mentioned the mobile app before, but we do actually have live on devices as well. So if you do have customers that do not like soft clients and they do want to use, a physical phone on the desk for some reason, there are options where they can have the Queues app inside of here. You're not going to see things like reporting, on a little screen like this. But to be an agent in a queue, opt people in and out, it's at least a feature parity thing between Softfine and this. Here's just a screenshot of that mobile that I mentioned before. So Queues app on mobile, that's starting to roll out in May. We got the roadmap item for that. If you do have customers, that truly mobile workforce, this might be a quite nice little thing for them. Don't have to be tied to a desk to be able to make changes to queues, that sort of thing. Importantly, both iOS and Android is coming to, so we're not expecting to see one before the other or one and the other one not at all. Okay, so we'll end the Queues app section by just talking about where I think it fits or who I think it fits for right now. That contact center light environment. So organizations that, they want some of this functionality. Maybe it is that monitor, whisper, barge, and takeover. That unlocked this for a lot of my customers that wanted to get into Queues app, but this was the thing they were missing. Maybe they just wanted to look after a small IT team and they wanted to do some training, enable that for a smaller queue and they could use that. That comes onto those, those internal queues. So if you have internal support queues or any particular queues internally, HR queues, accounting queues, whatever, the basic reporting that we've just looked at in the Queues app is going to be enough. It's going to be, passable for them. It's going to give them the information that they need. I think it's a great use case there. And then lastly, that management use case as well. So rather than, having people reach out to IT and go through all that rigmarole to be able to manage a particular queue, give some of that back to users that you trust. Let them manage the queues on your behalf. Kind of take that strain away from your IT team. So now we'll talk around some of the advancements in the calls queue and auto attendant. Some of those features, because like I mentioned, the queues app is built on the back end, call queues and auto attendants. Okay. So any of the functionality that you're going to be able to get from that is also going to feed into, the queues app as well. Yeah. Like the Office 365 logs. I haven't checked, but yes, probably.
Because, you got leads on well right now.
It's a great point. Yeah, it's a really great point. I assume it would, but maybe that's something for next year. I'll go and figure that out and then. So I just wanted to plug something that I built recently. When building queues, being able to test what the text-to-speech actually sounds like is a real pain. So I built this, it's live. That you go give it a go. But effectively, it will just read out what the text-to-speech is, without you needing to press enter and then ring up the queue and then wait for it to, okay, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to hang up and then rechange it and add 4 spaces between my name so it actually sounds correct. That sort of thing. Nested auto attendants to call queue licensing requirements. So this changed. Previously, if you had nested call queues within your auto attendants and call queues, everything had to be licensed with a resource account. That's changed now. You don't have to license every single account with a resource account license. But importantly, existing configurations won't break. If you've gone in and you've seen configured call queues, you'll see now that there's effectively a voice app or a resource account, so you can search for either one. Either one will still work and it will still function. But what this does do is it will affect things like the queues management within the queues app. So if your account does not have a resource account licensed, if your queue does not have a resource account licensed, you will not be able to manage it effectively with the queues app. Okay, so that will break. Okay, so the call queue that you want users to be able to manage will also need to have a resource account license assigned to it. You saying you don't do that? Well, that's the difference between our two environments. So your leads are able to go and manage queues. Okay, we'll link up after more. We'll chat about that.
Helpful.
Yeah. Maybe unsupported. Yeah, very true. Yeah, very true. Callback. So this is a native Teams call queue feature. It used to be that it was just PowerShell configurable, but now we're actually seeing it within the Teams Admin Center itself as well. But effectively, you're able to offer callback features to your users calling in. Is anybody using the callback feature within the queues? Or anybody configured it? Yeah. Okay. What makes calls eligible for a callback? How long you've been waiting in a queue, the number of calls that are in that queue, and quite a nice one is calls to agent ratio. So you can kind of see that it's quite busy. Maybe I'll start offering people callbacks to bring this queue down. One thing to mention and to remember about the callback is it's going to be subject to that call queue timeout configuration. So your exception handling, it's quite nice now in the Teams Admin Center. It lets you know there's a red line that says, listen, you're never going to hear this callback because your call queue exception is passing on too early. That never used to be a thing, but it is now, which is good. But yeah, just something to bear in mind. And there are some limitations around the callback with US callback numbers, that sort of thing. Let's see if this works. Nope. That's a demo of the callback. If you do want to see that, let me know. I'll show you what it looks like. But effectively, it's very self-explanatory. You call in and it says press 1 for a callback. You ask for the person's name. After the tone, tell us who we should ask for when we speak. This is non-configurable text right now, so it's just going to say this no matter what. Okay, just something to bear in mind as well. Yeah, things like if you do not receive a callback within 5 minutes, that's not something you can change. So if you want to change that to 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 2 minutes, whatever, it's just baked in. That's what it's going to say.
If the callback going to be the other call, yeah.
They are not linked. No. So it's not considered. I don't actually know if it's considered a missed call. I don't think it would be, because agents were never presented that call. It's just sat in the queue, and then it would have left the queue.
So an action.
Yeah.
As it be a fact in the queue.
What it actually does is it dials back outbound to that person. So then it becomes an outbound call and connects those two people together.
Good.
Yeah.
Does it connect to the agent first, or does it connect with the phone?
So it rings out to the agent. There we go. Great demo. So this is ringing out to the agent, and you can see call for the test queue. So that's the test queue calling me as the agent. And then it's saying, hey, this is a callback. I'm repeating what the Mac's saying. And then now it's going to call out to my mobile phone, and then put the call on hold, transfer the call, and then we're all together. Okay. So it rings the agent and then out to the user. Yeah. And then it says to the agent, this is the callback, please ask for, and then it inserts that audio that it, on the previous one, it said, who should we ask for? That was callback. This is call prioritization now. So with call queues, you're able to route the priority of calls routed for agents within a particular queue. So if you don't change any of the queue prioritization, everything stays as normal. Okay. But you come inside of there, and then you can route calls, make calls for a particular queue high, and then it's going to come through first, and it's going to level out between those two. Yeah.
But
yeah.
the original document had already got.
Yes.
Did you change auto attendant way?
Yes.
Out.
Yes. Yes. As far as I'm aware, there is no Teams admin center GUI to be able to configure that call prioritization. So if you make, and it's a very good point, if you make those changes or you configure that via PowerShell, do absolutely anything to the auto attendant or the call queue, it's all gonna be wiped. You'll have to do it again. Let's talk around some real world customer scenarios, some scenarios that I've had with my customers. So we had a US-based customer who wanted native Teams phone as much as possible. They were missing some of these features. So this was a perfect example for, they wanted that monitor whisper badge and takeover. QZAP was great for them. And I just slotted in, and they are now using that. Okay. A global customer that was on Teams phone, they'd already deployed native Teams call queues and auto attendants, and they wanted to reduce those IT overheads that I mentioned before. So giving those authorized users or the leads on particular queues access to the queue management feature, QZAP was great for them, and they were able to effectively roll out that across the queues, and then more of a local level, they were making those changes to the queues within the Teams client. So what is still missing? Intelligent-based routing. So right now we have the ability for, again, because it's call queues on the back end, it's going to be those attendant routing, serial routing, presence-based routing that you would expect, round robin that you expect with Teams call queues. It would be nice if we had some more intelligent routing, skills-based, last agent, preferred agent, that sort of thing. All of this is very inbound right now, but contact centers are both inbound and outbound at times. So being able to, automatically dial outbound, that sort of thing, making it more of an inbound and outbound Q's app experience is definitely still missing. Omni-channel stuff. So we've been told this may or may not get better in the future. I don't know. We've not heard anything. We saw some screenshots very early on that had Dynamics on Q's app and Salesforce on there. We haven't seen any of that yet. But also like true omni-channel experiences of having web chat, emails, socials, that sort of thing. Again, missing. On the reporting, what I've shown you today is basic reporting. It may be exactly what you need, but having that true end-to-end reporting is really important. I see a call come into my auto attendant. It went to this queue, then this queue, rang these agents. That stuff's missing. We can't get that reporting out of Q's app right now. Any sort of attendant console, however much Microsoft like to say, the calls app is not an attendant console. It's a speed dial section on one side, that's it. It would be nice. I think it would fit nicely as well, potentially in the Q's app to have some sort of attendant console inside of there. One button transfer, that sort of thing. Those deeper CRM integrations, we could do the CRM pops that we can do, with Teams. So web-based CRMs can pop up based on an inbound PSTN call. That's standard call queue functionality things. But having that deeper CRM integration, I think would be quite nice. Some in-call features. So when we're actually in a call, wrap-up tags, call context, things like timing queue, these sorts of things. Having Copilot, and then I can then shoot that into a CRM. Those sorts of integrations would be super nice to see. Maybe some pre-built call flows. So that, if you are building call flows from quite rapidly, or you want to template things across your organization, you can't really do that now. But it would be quite nice to, with the Q's app, be able to do that. And then lastly, some, policy-based call recording in there as well. We have third-party vendors that will do that sort of thing. But, compliance purposes, that's something that the Q's app is missing. So, coming towards the end of the talk now, just want to say thank you to all the sponsors. Go and have a walk around the venue if you've not yet. Go and have a chat to some of them. Some of the people here, Anywhere Now, Blueware, go speak to them about contact centers. They'll tell you how bad the Q's app is and all that sort of thing. But yeah, go have a chat to them. I'm sure they'd love to talk to you. Do we have any particular questions? We've had some really good engagement throughout. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, any type of questions, feel free.
When you have the follow-up for the unresolved, are you able to dial back? Are you thinking that all right, that, or are you stop down?
You can do, yeah. So you can call out as your agent number, or you can call out as the queue number as well if you would like. So if you were to, yeah.
For what I've seen with Project One, you have number 4, number 7, 5, and 47. Call feature. Those two things would have stopped me from one call.
Oh, really?
If my requirement for call center come up, don't tell me that. But realistically, rapid code calls like the state reporting functionality, the call center thing, and that end-to-end reporting goes to stop me from.
Interesting. Thank you very much. Sentiment analysis.
Yeah. Like for argument for function, and the
you just mentioning Blueware features now. Any other questions? Perfect. Thank you very much. Don't go anywhere. I do have a giveaway. Thank you very much.